Hey everybody, and welcome this week to The Maw. Now, judging on the thumbnail, people are either going to have no clue what this game is or remember it as a beloved Xbox 360. I think they were called arcade games, but every once in a while I get kind of in the mood for an Xbox, about once a year, an Xbox 360 indie or arcade game. And well, it's about that time of year, and I wanted to play The Maw because it's actually available on PC, and I remember it kind of fondly. I might have already mentioned that it's a puzzle platformer, and I would have to call it a non-traditional puzzle platformer because it's not like Portal or Portal 2 or like Quantum Conundrum. It's kind of its own league with a monster that consumes everything that it can and grows bigger across levels, and we get different power-ups and stuff. Now, I'm not going to keep you here forever with the yapping. I think we can just go ahead and begin a new game with the opening cutscene here. It's my intention to play through the whole game. The game isn't in English, so there's no reason for me to be quiet during cutscenes. Like I said, this is a pretty antiquated game at this point. I think it's over 12 years old. I think it was released in 2010, 2012, or right around there. But yeah, this is our character that we play as. I'm not so certain his name, but there in the middle of the what we can see, this little pink monster we're about to see, its name is the Maw, and aptly named as he's got a very large mouth, as you can see. We become quick friends. We just kind of like the look of one another, but unfortunately for everybody involved, the ship is coming down. You'll notice in the background a lot of the monsters that we'll run into throughout the course of this game. So it's not really clear to me if they're actually, those monsters are the natives to this world, or if they just got transplanted there as a result of our crash landing. But speaking of which, level 1 crash site. Our little Maw buddy, he has a little, what do they call him? Like a leash on him. And there we are. We're still good buddies. He's like a little dog, a little dumb dog, but he's nice enough. Man's best friend. And, well, what do they call it? Anthro? Is that no, I don't think that's quite the name. But anyway, there are these like things which are trying to, these like little guards, soldiers who are trying to keep us prisoner. The Maw monster really doesn't like them, of course, so since they're trying to hurt us. This guy on the right looks like he's telling us to stop. Now, we were already arrested one time, so you're not going to be able to convince me very well to stop, but cool, there they go. And they drop off some kind of like a little explodey deal. And I think that is the meat and potatoes as far as exposition for this game. Everything else is pretty much puzzle and platformers for pretty much the rest of the game. I don't think we can't really interact with the Maw very great just yet, but I think we're about to pick up our tool, which lets us do just that. So, I said a leash, but it was more apt to call it a collar that's around the Maw's neck. And this here is our leash with which to actually grab and control him through the course of the game. And he's going to be our tool for most of the game as well. We're going to do the platforming, and he can do the eating. How's that sound? So he's a little pink guy right now. Wow, this just triggers everything in me that like I kind of love about like absorption, and like Kirby is another game that I really like that kind of, well, Kirby takes a different approach to the absorption sort of deal in that he gets powers and he's a little bit more actiony. This is sort of a slow burn Katamari, a little bit like Katamari. Katamari, though, was once again more like an action-ish game. This one, I'm going to stick to my guns, even though it has the tag action on most of the platforms it's for it's for sale on. I would call it much more like a puzzle platformer because you're just kind of walking around. I can show you the scoreboard. This is obviously how many things there are to get in every level. The top two, the top monsters in general, are the ones that we need to eat to grow in size. The bottom one is, I think it's called like a gloop or something like that. It's just a bonus. A lot of people, when they play this game, at least I've seen modern playthroughs of it, they like to go for 100% playthroughs. I don't really care for that. I'm just going to play through until I can complete a level, and then I'm not going to worry about getting each and everything. It would just artificially kind of inflate the gameplay with no real reward. I don't even think you get like 100% unlocks in this game, which is kind of unfortunate. So as we eat, or rather as the Maw eats, he gets a little bit bigger over time, which is going to become extremely pronounced as the game goes on. This, in small part, is kind of well, I don't really want to call it the platforming side of things or even the puzzle side of things, but it's just teaching us the basic controls in that we can not only use our leash to move our little monster, our little buddy monster, but we can also use it to manipulate stuff in the environment as well. Alright, so we have some plants that are in the way, and before we can really interact with much in the environment, we should probably go over and test what would happen if we run into those monsters. So let's go do just that. Now, this is important because it won't spawn any more of the puffs, which we need to progress the game until we actually go over here and interact with these. Well, to me, they look a little bit like PD Piranha plants, but also look like the plants from Crash Bandicoot, and then later, wow, what was it? Jack and Dexter, it had like a cameo into. So as this guy kind of runs, the maw runs, it wakes everything up in the environment, including both the fire lizards who are just kind of in and around, and these like little puff balls. I forget what they're called. I think maybe meeps or something. We can also, if we grab a hold of things to feed the maw, we can like whip it into his mouth. Sometimes it's quicker. Sometimes it makes more sense to just whip it into his mouth. These things, I mean, we're still here at the beginning. There's nothing like, no reason to really split hairs. The only thing that's very important to me at this point is that we get another size to us so that we're able to eat the fire lizards, because they're the next step up for us in terms of evolution. Like I said, I really love the Kirby games, and I don't necessarily consider this like the next kind of logical step in a Kirby game, obviously. Oh, cool, now we've added those to the food chain. Those are edible by the maw now. It's just kind of a different take on a Kirby-ish game. Let me go ahead and grab one of these guys. So like I said, we can grab these dudes. We can do like a little spin joint. I might overshoot with the spin. Yeah, that's okay, because we can still grab them and pull them into the river. So we actually have to cool these monsters down to be able to feed them to the maw for the first time. Whoop, the camera went a little buck wild there. But once we feed him a kind of unique enemy, he turns into like a version of them. So this one does not like the environment, and it will light most things in the environment on fire. That includes trees. It also means that we no longer have to like extinguish these guys for the maw to be able to eat them. I'm probably gonna periodically check this. I think there's 3 times for which we need to grow here at the beginning. There is a limit every level on how much you're able to grow, which I consider to be fairly unfortunate. It's kind of lame in my opinion. I wish that you got kind of more unlockables, or were able to do certain puzzle elements easier or differently if you had taken the time to overfeed your maw, or at least saw it in different sizes and stuff. I mean, we're complaining now about a game that's like I said, 12, 13 years old. So, and I'm not even really complaining. We're just going to talk about all the things I like about this game and all the shortfalls. So some of these little puff ball things are hidden in the trees. Like I said, we're going to go for, I think it's only one more size upgrade. If I run into the little collectible, like I said, I think they call them goops or something. It's funny because if you collect all of them, the achievement says tastes like snot. So very disgusting to imagine what those would taste like just a creature that tastes like snot, and the maw loves it. Oh, how gross. Speaking of achievements, there are a lot of unique ones for this game, like if you light a certain amount of the environment on fire, if you light a certain amount of enemies on fire, if you destroy enough of the environment just in general. And the achievement I thought probably was the most unique out of all of them had to have been the one that said that when you play the game at all of the maw's feeding times, and the maw has 6 different feeding times. It eats breakfast, brunch, lunch, then it was like dinner and dinner, and then I think a midnight snack. So 6 different meals throughout the day. Completion time took us about 7.5 minutes. We ate a certain amount. You can see how many kilograms we ate per minute and our lifetime kilograms eaten. I'm not really worried about that at all. I don't think it actually matters throughout a level, okay, so we're going to be eating a whole bunch of different creatures, right? They have different kilogram values whenever you actually go and you eat them as the maw, but I don't think that that's important in terms of growing. For example, let's say that I had let's say these puffs were each worth 100 kilograms each, right? And then I had a snail that was worth 1,000 kilograms. Now, if I needed to eat 6 things worth, it doesn't matter that I ate the snail that was worth 1,000 kilograms and then 5 of the puffs, or if I ate 6 puffs, and in each case they're 1,500 kilograms and 600 kilograms respectively, it wouldn't make a difference, is what I'm trying to say. So generally how I plan on doing these levels is kind of hyper intensely focusing on the puzzle elements up until the point at which we can finish a level, and then I'm going to work on finishing the level. So like at this point, the puzzle element there was to shut that generator down so that we could eat some more of these puff balls as a reward and continue the level. This level looks to have about 38 eatables in it in total. Oh, nice, and we got a growth upgrade there too. So it looks like, at least in this level, they're going to come pretty hot and heavy and pretty free. I don't know. I like the idea of this. I don't know if you guys also remember the game. It was a Flash game. It was called was it called like Goo the World or Eat the World or something like that? But it's where you play as like this little, well, it was supposed to be it would eat germs away. Like if it was like a detergent. It was meant to like be kind of like a Grey Goose scenario, though, if you are familiar with that, which is this idea of like a self-replicating like material that wow, how best to explain it? It's a self-replicating material that infinitely creates itself and then ends up consuming everything on the planet. And that's what that game ended up turning into, was like a Katamari Damacy type deal where like it gradually eats more things. It like eats small dogs, and then it eats people, and then it eats houses, and then it eats cities. I'm gonna hop up here and feed our maw a little bit. I do have all the DLC for this, which is kind of crazy to me that there ever was DLC for this. And some of the DLC sort of feels weak, but honestly, if I didn't have the DLC, this playthrough would probably take 40 minutes. So I don't know what this one will end up clocking in at, now that I've made the concession that I don't really care about 100%ing every level. It just really doesn't bring anything to the table. I was thinking about it in terms of like, the old Crash Bandicoot games at least made it so that you had to kind of 100% the game to unlock the good endings and stuff in it. And then later on, even the Crash Bandicoot games, I'm thinking Crash Twin Sanity, at least, it had it so that whenever you beat whenever you collected the gems, you didn't need all of them for a particular special ending or anything, but it at least unlocked concept art and like funny little extra videos and stuff. Now, granted, you're not going to see any of that in the MAW. I was looking into this production company who made this game because I was kind of curious I'm always curious about like people who make games that I like, right? Because it's like, I wonder if they'll ever make another game that I like. And for the most part, you look at something like Steam, for example, and of course they're probably going to continue to make games that I like as long as they continue to make games. But I was looking at these guys. It looks honestly like all they really make now are just like VR games that they're probably being commissioned by. Like their most recent one was a Deadpool VR game. So I'm sure like Marvel put their feelers out, or Disney or whoever, and we're like, okay, we need a smallish company who can handle a VR game about Deadpool, one of our popular IPs, and they just kind of put their bid in and said, we'll do it. Now, I can't speak for the quality of it. I just don't give a shit about VR games in general. So here's a new gameplay element. Now, this only comes in a couple of levels. You grab a hold of like these bug deals that are collecting from these trees that produce these little electric balls, and you have to jump from bug to bug until you make your way up to their queen, I think it was. It's really not too involved. It's not too difficult. I don't know. Something about like this particular art style on the 360, I kind of like. There's another game on the 360 that reminds me sort of it, but is not nearly as good. Like, I don't like it nearly as much. It's called Cloning Clyde. It's also a kind of puzzle-ish game, but that one's way more heavy on the platforming. This one here, again, like, I struggle a little bit to even call it a puzzle platformer, but what else are you gonna call it? I think that, yes, we want to continue on this path here, because like I don't want to just like overshoot and then end up on the other side of the gate here where the maw is. That would of course not do me any good. Cool. So we will pop this electrical generator and bring the maw over here. I don't think he's ready to eat the king just yet, or king, queen, whatever, it doesn't matter. Whatever this thing is, they all have names in the guidebook that comes downloadable with this game. Oh my god, yeah, he was able to eat it. It all comes available to read in the guidebook that's downloadable with this game, but I really don't care all that much. This is just kind of like a little bit of a small joint. So we can use him. This is a kind of unique scenario for this. He shocks these like little bulbous creatures, and then we can use these to throw into generators, and they retain their like electricity, sort of, and it shuts down the generator. So now they're like a little electric bombs that we can produce sort of at will. And I think that some of these like little bulbous creatures are also up near where these rocks are. Cool. I don't know. Like I said, it's hard to tell how much of this environment is something that the ship brought here. Reminds me a lot of the intro for Risk of Rain, in that, you know, this planet was just kind of chilling or whatever until some kind of ship carrying a whole bunch of random, like, malicious stuff. Well, it's sort of different in that these are creatures, and that for the most part in Risk of Rain, it's like artifacts. Damn it, what am I... You know what I might do, actually? Go ahead and do me a favor and come up this way. I'm gonna just slam it into this machine instead of bothering to try and throw it into the machine. It'd probably give me better luck just slamming it. Okay, cool. That one worked anyway. I think I need one more size increase before I try to like finish out the level. Looks like we're at 20 out of 38. It's gonna... Oh wow, he eats them all at once like that? I was about to say, this is gonna be a very slow process, but, well, no, not at that rate now, is it? Cool. Maybe he's not gonna grow again. I thought we had one more size increase to go, but if not, that's fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and have him shock here, and I definitely want to throw at this radar dish, which I believe should stop... well, I thought it was going to stop those from spawning, but hey, if it insta destroys them, I'm happy with that too. It's funny because it changes up the puzzles a lot. Like you don't always need to do it in that kind of a specific way. Now I know that I'm missing some of these like creatures to eat, but I'm hoping that there's some here in the grass. So what I want to do is obviously electrify this and get ready to toss it into the machine there. Okay, very lucky. Hopefully there's enough of these little creatures here to eat in the grass that I'm not going to have to backtrack. I'm really crossing my fingers. Yes, sir. So you have to reach a certain amount of size in every area to be able to continue to the next area. Sometimes it's indicative of like how big the maw has to be to, say, for example, if he was going to fight this machine instead of, you know, us just walk past it after it being fried by electrocution. If it was going to be that case where he fought it, he needs to be big enough to fight it first. Now, that isn't always the case. In fact, I would say that's kind of rarely the case. Come on, Ma, stop shocking random shit. Let's get going. I don't know. I like all his designs. So far, we've seen the lava design, and we've seen, like, the phantom design, which is, I guess, just what I'm going to call this, because he kind of looks like a phantom. I don't remember how long this is or how many levels. This is a DLC level, actually, and the soldiers that spawn are called bounty hunters in the DLC, or not the DLC, in the like the description of this the DLC. So that's kind of interesting to think about. Now, this is something like you really have to reach for the story on. Obviously, it's kind of an afterthought. There weren't like lore tablets dropped all around this game or anything even close to that. This is a level that really opens itself up to exploration, but I'm not even really sure how best to go about it. This is a big level. A lot of times in a game like this, it really lends itself to, in DLC, like just a big open plain like this. Now, I'm trying to think of a specific example. Wow, which, you know, how... At least to me, anyway, in the Mass Effect games, there was always like a DLC in each of them that just felt kind of empty. Now, what am I doing wrong here? Am I not not supposed to pick this up. Hold up. What the hell am I doing wrong? Maybe I got to go over here actually to this beetle and mess with it a little bit. Because I know that those kind of explode into one another, but I must be doing something kind of wrong, right? So I got a hold of this guy, but he's big enough to tear that open. Okay, I don't know what that was all about. This is also a weird design choice in terms of the DLC. Not this little mini game, but like progression in this level is extremely weird. There are a lot of times in this, I'll tell you, the best way to describe it is I got all the way to the end of this level, and I was like, what the fuck? That's the end of the level? And it wasn't particularly bad. Like, I wasn't disappointed in the level or anything, but I was just like, oh, that just kind of came out of nowhere, that this level's over with. And you can lock yourself out of, like, this beginning area pretty easily as well. Now, what I want to do is go ahead and get a hold of this. I think they're called, no, not Charmeleon. There's no way that this thing's called Charmeleon. I do think it's some kind of like a chameleon name, but definitely not Charmeleon. That's Pokemon, of course. So we're going to get our first altar form here. Very important. The magma form, because you've probably seen in the background, even though I haven't made a point to point them out necessarily, that there are plants around. Now, I do want to take the opportunity to maybe try and grow at least once before we continue on very far. Now, I think we can burn these mushrooms. No, maybe we just aren't big enough. I think in a later part of the level, maybe we can burn the mushrooms. Also, I think I can light these on fire. Yeah, but I don't know if that does anything for me. Oh, okay. Well, at least it blew the mushroom up. Well, like I said, really not that important. It's just gonna let us get a couple of these little, I think, like I said, I think they're called meeps. The little puff balls anyway. This game, I was looking at the credits for it. I was just kind of, because that's in like the bonus features, bonus content, and this game was proudly modeled in Granny 3D. Never heard of that in my life. I looked it up because I was like, is this some kind of a softcore pornography thing? The icon is even like an old ass grandma kind of like laying semi-seductively on like a on a flat plane, and I was like, what the fuck could you model in Granny 3D? And I was looking it up because I was like, can you, like, what does a tutorial for Granny 3D look like? And the only tutorial I could find was like a super short tutorial that was about like using nodes to make animations work. And I'm not going to even begin to try to, well, one, I know nothing about it, so like I don't want to even pretend to be informed on the subject. But two, it's a very complicated subject, and I would hate to try to explain it to my audience, but basically it kind of reminds me a little bit of like, if any of you extremely amateur coders out there have ever played around on the website, wow, Scratch, I think it's called, reminds me a lot in terms of like what they expect you to do animating on Granny 3D with how they expected you to code on Scratch, which is very basic arguments and variables, and using a lot of visual coding versus coding that you can actually apply to what you're doing. That probably doesn't make sense to anybody who like doesn't do that themselves. So if that confused you, my apologies. So what are we doing here? Okay, it looks like I can grab a hold of this explosive and then toss it up this steam pipe, right? That's the plan. Cool. Nice. I was just worried there for a second that wasn't going to work, and that was only for 4 puff balls, bro. That's like nothing. This level must be enormous. I do think the DLC levels are pretty big relative to a normal level. You know, it was so funny. I played this, I don't know, probably like 6 months ago or something, and I was not able to tell at all what a DLC level was versus what I had played whenever I was younger. It's not like a irony thing or like a, see, that's how bad the game is thing. It's just like, like the levels kind of blend together in just such a way. I don't know. I'm surprised that because I think a lot of people really liked this game. It might have been a little bit too much effort, though. I wonder whatever influenced them to make this game and then to never make another game like it ever again. Of course, I think the much more popular mod now is the the mod DLC for Little Nightmares, but I couldn't imagine that would fuck them out of, you know, what do they call it, like real estate on the gaming market. Alright, so we have got a, that bug was like inside of a mushroom that it had hidden inside of. It's going to hide inside of another mushroom, and I think we just have to light it on fire one more time, and we're close to the end of what we have to mess around with this beetle. I think they're called bull beetles, so that's kind of a cool name. I thought that was the real life name of beetles, but I'm not, of certain beetles, but now I'm not so sure. 21 out of 70. Now, we'll always get like a, if it requires a certain amount of size for the maw, we'll always get told what that size is in a given level. So for example, let's say that caused him to grow there, the maw, and he grew again. It would give us a check mark whenever we have successfully done that, like the level's over. So we're never going to be questioning you know, whether or not we're ready to leave a level. I mean, I might ask it because I'm an idiot, but like we can always check that. And it will tell us as soon as that's the case. Nice. So we got a big bull beetle chasing us out of the way of the small bull beetle, which before we had kind of cornered. But alright, so it falls down and it falls onto the mercenaries, as I described earlier. And it kind of like readies itself. Jesus, it is just tearing these fellas up. They were not ready for a bull beetle. They were ready for a little blue ugly ass alien and the maw. It's like, hey, what can you do, right? Alright, cool. I also think it's cool, obviously the maw is growing. That's not something that's been a mystery to us, but I also think it's cool that his little collar grows along with him. That's a cool little addition. I don't know, just makes you kind of wonder about the world that's going on here, like you know, what's going on with the this mercenary company presumably traveling through the stars. Why are they collecting like all these monsters? Are they like you know, collectors in terms of like people want a maw for themselves and so they'll pay a lot of money for one? Is it that like we're a bad guy in a certain sense and we have a bounty out on us? Do we have like, oh, maybe the evil twin brother angle? That's not too played out, I guess. Alright, headed down this way. Now the bull beetle had the little electric thing taken out from underneath of him, and for us anyway, that means that we can now eat him. Alright, sorry about that. I had to turn off the vibration. It was getting on my nerves a little bit. It was a little bit loud and a little bit too jerky, but anyway, another thing that I like about this is certainly the graphics. Very pretty. All the transformations really make the maw kind of feel unique. Now, can I bust through this is a question, because this one has a charge move, this one being the this maw move, similar to the bull beetles. He has a charge move. Oh, I can actually bust through that, huh? Oh yeah, this is what I was talking about in terms of you get close to the end of the level and you're like, oh holy shit, I didn't expect it this soon. I'm going to send him down this way. Now he has a weird control scheme where you aim him opposite of the direction you want to go. Inverted, what do they call it? X-axis. Alright, there we are. Now I forget what that lights all that shit on fire. Okay, I forgot for a minute what the whole point of that was, but doesn't matter. Had sex, we'll throw this too. The maw, how many? Okay, we'll probably only need one more growth for him. I kind of think at max in a level we'll have 2 growths. Jeez Louise, the camera likes doing that occasionally, doesn't it? Get hung up on one little thing. What else is? Oh yeah, I don't think we'll ever see a level with 3 growths, which is kind of unfortunate. Like I said, I don't know that I would want this game expanded on, like in terms of length, but I really would have liked to have seen this have future iterations where the gameplay is actually expanded on. I talked before about one of my favorite things, or maybe not favorite, that isn't it, but like an idea I had for like a game that I thought would be really fun is managing things at the end of the world, and not just like a zombie you know, survival sim management, like, I don't know, survivalists, rebuild. What are other kind of popular ones? I guess like 7 Days to Die, like if you're into the actiony side of things, but like an actual like management game, or like try to survive the end of the world with like different random end of the world events. There was a Flash game that got kind of close to it where you could participate in these kind of like random events, and it also rolled you random equipment. The only thing was it was kind of goofy. Like it would roll you like a character, and it'd be like, you rolled the stoner, so you get plus 20 food and plus 5 luck, and that's like the stats that you would get, in addition to like random items and stuff like that. Like, you know, maybe you got a lawnmower to start the apocalypse, but then it was like the different kind of like apocalyptic scenarios you could be in, like alien invasion, or like I had said before, like a Grey Goose scenario, or like AI gone crazy or something like that. Okay, now I do want him to eat this guy, even though we don't get special powers for it. I just think it looks kind of cool. Alright, so we have got another one of these bomby type deals. Now I think what we can do, this was a little bit confusing to me, is we just toss it like we normally would in the updraft from the vent there. Actually knocks it far enough. Cool, so that is enough to this level, even though we didn't get every little thing in it. It's not that big a deal. Like I said, your game has to come with additional gameplay for me to play it longer, not padded gameplay. So, Chaindown. Though you'll notice our maw is a little bit smaller, of course, because like I said, that last area was kind of DLC, so they do have an ordering to the levels. They just don't really change all that much as you're kind of going through them, which is like they didn't anticipate, you know, whenever they initially created the game. I don't think that they were ever going to have DLC, so they didn't really account for, you know, needing to make room for other levels. So if we have him eat one with the shell on it, it won't, he won't be able to. So instead, we have to pop the shell for him. How many? We got 2 out of 34 here so far. I'm going to take this guy, pop him on the ground, and then feed him to the maw. I don't know what else you can really say. Yeah, I don't know. Very pretty. This game. I always like the design of the maw. I like the idea of the maw. I kind of like Kirby games as far as like the actiony side of absorption. So you can see here with this like big bull beetle is locked down by 2 electronic turrets, sentry turrets. So we have to make that not a thing. So I think what I'm going to do is head over this way, because I haven't yet seen any of the fire lizards, but of course I've seen the obstacle in our way over there to the left. Now I think actually this is the direction that we want to go, and I don't really even need the maw here for this. As far as like we have to platform over, and I think get some, we either get river going, like some river going, or we get one of those fire chameleon things to down to where the maw can eat it. Now we have to of course put it out, put its fire out first, like we did before. At least we got a kind of semi-normalish level here again. I don't remember how big. I mean, probably just 2 growth cycles to get the maw big enough for us to make it to the next level. We also have to, of course, be able to free the bull beetle. Alright, let me get a hold of this. Whoa, easy. I wanted a second to explain this puzzle. So we've got the fire lizard over there, and we've got an electronic ball over here. So what we're going to do is swing it around, let it go just in time to hit the fire chameleon, which knocks it down and into the water. I think that the maw is going kind of the opposite way from where I need him to be, but that's okay. I keep hearing the bull beetle cry every once in a while, so it looks like they locked it down because it was being disruptive. You know, like it killed those mercenaries or knocked them out, I guess. I guess we're really the only thing that does any killing. Most other stuff just knocks it out. Alright, come over this way, maw. Yep, he's on his way. His pathing is actually fucking horrible whenever you call for him, so why he's hitting that angle, not quite certain, but doesn't matter. We got our little lava upgrade now, so we can breathe fire on stuff. Yeah, like I was saying, in terms of like absorbing powers and stuff, I really like the Kirby games. I like the Kirby Right Back At You show. I'll tell you something that's kind of crazy to me. I think about how much effort it takes to, you know, animate something. Like you look at like small little one man operations, one person operations, and they like will take, I don't know, like months to a year to put out like a very pretty 2-minute animation. And I'm like, wow, that's awesome. And then you look at something like Kirby Right Back At You, which was the anime version of Kirby for those of you who just don't happen to know. I think it's probably on the Internet Archive. I always find a lot of good shows on the Internet Archive that you can just download and watch. On there, so you look at the animation of Kirby Right Back At You, and granted, it's not very pretty, but they fucking put out so many episodes of Kirby Right Back At You. I want to say, we're going to take a conservative estimate and say at least 100 episodes, probably leaning more towards 200 episodes. Actually crazy. It does have an English translation, I think, for most of it. I guess this level is going to be the talking about kind of random bullshit level. Another show that I kind of like that doesn't have a full animation like for it yet. I would say my favorite anime is probably Code Geass, but my second favorite anime is oops, I didn't mean to throw that at him. I hit him on the head with it. I didn't know you could do that. Sorry, Ma, calm down. I'd say my second favorite anime is anime called Zatch Bell, which actually aired on Cartoon Network's like Cartoon Network block whenever I was younger, and that unfortunately doesn't have a full English translated series yet. Granted, I haven't watched it all the way up to the point at which it runs out of the English translation, but I still just don't want to, like, you know, and it's funny to say that your second favorite anime is something you haven't watched, but you kind of have to understand at least that it has 130 episodes, and I kind of watch a couple episodes at a time. I've also played a couple new episodes at a time, and I also like the games for Zatch Bell a little bit. They were kind of unique in terms of like fighting games, because in that game you're like a guy who has a puppet, and then so it's like a world where everybody, well, not everybody, but like, well, I don't know what it is, it's like 100 people get randomly given puppets, and then they each have books that allow their puppets to do magic powers, and then like as you increase your relationship with that puppet, you get like access to more powers, and if that book is destroyed, then the puppet dies, but otherwise I don't think the puppet can die. I haven't really made it that far. I think I'm like 40 episodes in or something. They keep introducing new characters constantly, so they don't really have much ability to work on current lore. Instead, they just expand it by just introducing a new character. How are we coming on this level? Am I like ready to leave this level? I haven't really seen a check mark yet, but wow, we burned a lot of good stuff on that one. I think what I'm gonna do, let me go up to, I might go eat some of these snails. I bet if I eat a couple snails, we'll be done with this level. Like I said, this is just kind of the talk about random bullshit, because I wanted to talk about Kirby Right Back At You. Which, like I said, I like Kirby Right Back At You. There was a promotional toy, I forget if it was for McDonald's or Wendy's, that had a little Kirby doll in it that let you, like, do a magic 8-ball, like, roll on his stomach, kind of like, you couldn't shake it. It's not like a magic 8-ball, but, like, he had, like, this frying pan, and you, like, depressed it like you would, like, an action figure or something, and it caused his stomach to roll, like, I can't remember if it was, like, you know, good job or what, because I don't think it was like, so magic 8-ball obviously is like you ask it yes no questions, and it's like yes, absolutely, no, don't ever do that, or whatever, you know, a magic 8-ball normally says. And so you know to ask it yes no questions, but I don't remember what you were supposed to answer the Kirby. It might have also just had his power-ups, because that kind of makes sense for a Kirby toy. Man, the kind of quality that went into the toys back then. Now, I'm not necessarily getting nostalgic for it or anything. I do think that one was cool. I saw it once at a local, there was like this local shop that just sold like kind of retro-ish video games. Not super retro, but like PS2 forward video games. And the guy in there actually had one of those Kirby action figures, and I was like, damn, that's really cool. Like, where did you get that? Are you like familiar with that or whatever? Because like, you know, I was just going to tell him basically the same thing, that I got that as a toy at a Wendy's, and that's what he had told me, is that you know, he had one whenever he was like a teenager, like a college kid, and then he lost it, so then he bought one online. I don't think they're going for stupid expensive. Now, granted, I haven't really I'm kind of out of the collecting game. I never was really in it. I just collected cards every once in a while. But I haven't collected in a long time, so I don't know what the market's kind of like on something like that. But I don't know. I would guess probably like no more than $50, probably closer to 12 because it's like an old toy at this point. So we have these worms all around, and what they want are to eat these little things that kind of look like amoebas a little bit in the ground. So what we do is, because we notice them diving into the dirt, what we do is knock one onto the concrete here where they actually have to like dive into the dirt. Then we can grab a hold of it, whip it into the maw's mouth, and there we go. We've got our, I think this is the second to last power up of the game. There's only one more that I can think of that we have, and then we're kind of done on new power-ups. Wow, his mouth is really pretty. Alright, so as far as a plan, I don't really care to pop the rest of these. I'm just going to call them dirt worms. Can we call them that? I don't really care to pop the rest of these dirt worms, so I'm absolutely not going to do that. What I'm going to do instead, because he has like this weird dive move. It's not even very good, but it's our move, so we got to use it. I'm going to bring him around to eat the little puffball things. I think I've been calling them meeps. I don't know what they're called. Maybe I'll just call them puffball. I always call this shit just whatever. I'm so glad that there isn't like a like people don't take my word as law in these fucking playthroughs. I'm glad that I have a community that's like either not like, yes sir, that's absolutely what we're going to call it, and I'm going to change all the Wikipedia pages to reflect that, and also not like a community that's like, actually they're called peeps, they're not meeps. Wow, what are you doing all the way up there? That's not where you were the last time I saw you. Talking, of course, to the maw. Yeah, like I said, I just am going to have him eat these little small things. A little bit hard to get him. This is probably my least favorite in terms of letting him eat stuff. I guess I could also just throw it into his mouth, which I forgot about. And I haven't even mentioned this guy's power-up yet. He acts as like a hot air balloon, kind of, or more like a regular balloon, because he can only go up so high. And then he gives you like a floating mechanic. Pretty cool, honestly. It's not like out of this world awesome, like the most innovative power up, but like in terms of like expanding your prospects as like a platforming-ish game, pretty cool. Like what else are you gonna add to your platforming? Like you can tell like a little bit of thought went into it at least. Okay, we'll pop both of those. I don't think, let's see, we're at 15. This will be 16 that I'm throwing into his mouth now. Let's continue on if you don't mind, Maw. Alright, and we will pop these mushrooms here. Doesn't look like these have any of the little creatures. I'm going to pop one more time. Okay, these ones actually had some of the little puffball creatures. Puffball United. I'm thinking of another game company there. I was like, why is Puffballs coming to mind? The guy who made well, I guess Among Us too, but he also made the Henry Stickmin games. I kind of wonder, I don't know if he's ever mentioned. I'm sure people who follow Stickball. Wait, wasn't it? Yeah, isn't his name Stickball United? Whatever. I wonder if he's ever going to make another Henry Stickmin game. Not that it really matters to me. Cool, so this is one of the collectibles that I was talking about. It doesn't give us anything. It doesn't even cause him to grow bigger in size. It's impossible for it to, but I think there's one in every level. Like I said, you got to kind of remember the time that we were going into this gaming period. The 360, the PS3 was like the invent of achievements and medals. So, something giving you like inflating your playtime with a video game by making you play it in a very specific way. All right, and we'll toss this last little goober in his mouth. We're at 23. I'm sure I have to grow them again. My sort of issue with this level whenever I played it for the last time is I was like, oh, okay, all I need is this power up probably to beat the level. But nope, you in fact have to grow. So grow to a certain size. So I will go over here. This is probably going to be all the little peeps, meeps, puff balls that I need. Puffballs. Wow. I'll just have to think of these little creatures whenever it comes to trying to remember the guy who created this Henry Stickmin games. Really charming, those games. I like them a lot. I just don't think that my commentary would bring anything to the table, so I just kind of keep that game for me. It's not like my dirty pleasure or anything, but like I said, I couldn't imagine that me going, haha, that's the Henry Stickmin death was really funny, could bring anything to the table. Although, I don't know, some people like, for example, Markiplier and stuff have kind of made a, not a name for themselves, but like certainly some of the more notable people who have played those games, and they brought something to the table. Granted, I don't think I'm entertaining. I think that maybe I'm informative and I approach things, I don't want to say logically, because that sounds like somebody with their head up their ass a little bit, but like, analytical. Oh my god, this sounds even worse. I'm just a guy who like, comes into these sort of informed, and then we try our best to draw conclusions and talk about strategies and stuff while we play it. So somewhere between a walkthrough to like a sort of informed playthrough. And I don't know, I talk about life sometimes, but it's not funny like Markiplier stuff is. So, but that's okay. It takes all kinds of people. So, and of course, it's becoming more and more evident. A lot of people really like the stuff I've been putting out lately. So, of course, it makes me feel good to give people stuff that they like to watch. This is probably one of my favorite levels, Looferland, getting back into the theme of the game. So I really like how this one opens up with the Ma eating the little meep, and then all of a sudden you see a big stampede of creatures come by. Thank you, Ma, for saving my ass. All kinds of the chameleons, the bull beetles, big bull beetles, mother bull beetles, a bunch of meeps. And all for what? Well, of course, this thing that looks like it has duck paws, or duck flaps. And even now, I kind of was like, oh, that kind of looks like a, wow. It starts with a P. Wow, what is that fucking word? It's on the tip of my tongue. If I can't remember it before I try to kill it, I'll have to look it up. It is called peacock. That's right, a peacock. Now, were peacocks, their tails used evolutionarily to ward off predators? I can't really remember. I thought it was to attract mates, but maybe it is to ward off predators. Sort of the same way that I feel about certain snakes. What are they called? Cobras, that have like the scary designs on their chest to scare off predators. I don't know. I had to pull that one from the Ekans and Arbok Pokedex entry. Okay, so we can try to grab it, but unlike the chameleons and stuff, it doesn't really deal with our bullshit. Of course, it scares the Maw away. I really, really like the look of him all the way out there. He just looks kind of like a goober nut peeking over the peeking over the top of that rock. Like I said, this is probably one of my... I would say that this is my favorite level. Of course, it's one of the bigger ones, too. Despite the fact that there are 92 eatables in this level, I think that we only grow 2 times again in this level. So, kind of unfortunate. I mean, as far as unfortunate it is. I mean, we grow big enough to eat this world. That's not even super a spoiler, I don't feel like. And I mean, it's like a 13-year-old game. It's whatever. If you're here to watch the game, you're going to know how it ends. So, let me go ahead and call Ma over here. We've got his snack ready for him after all. Hey, Ma, you want to eat this thing? He's not within range yet. I might also just... Nope, I can throw him. Very good. So what do you think of it? Something we may not have noticed about that peacock-looking thing is that it had laser eyes. Now, we don't ever actually see that in-game, so I didn't, miss anything. I said that this is probably my favorite level because it is really the only level that we can go hands-on offensive. We can use those laser eyes to pop different things in the environment, firstly, but more importantly, we can use it to kind of easily solve our way through puzzles. I'm going to have him just eat a couple of these guys that are on our way moving forward. I did show off already how you can get, or what the eating these, I think they're called boogers, the bottom most collectible thing. I already showed us eating one of those, so I'm not going to show the one on this level, even though it's just to our right. We just have to destroy that piece of the environment, and then we would be done. I don't think anything over, like we're just kind of following the path here. So yeah, I don't know. It's a new way to ride the Maw. Now I don't have to, hold it by the hand and like walk it around or anything. It's carrying us around. It looks really cool. I like the blue and green kind of melding together. Somebody on Steam, and I couldn't remember what this reminded me of, but it reminds you, of course, of I think it's the mutant fish from one of I can't remember if it's a Simpsons episode or a Simpsons movie. But yes, it absolutely does remind me of that. So let's go ahead and eat most of these little pink things. Like I said, we're going to have to grow, I think, at least twice. I don't think any of the levels feature a eat 3 times type deal, but I guess we'll see. I mean, I say we'll see, but I'm pretty certain that that's not the case. We might grow only 1 time in certain levels, but most of the time 2, and then I don't think ever 3. So, all right, I want to go down this way first. The path kind of diverges here, and this is a way I would like to go to first. So those mercenaries are dropping off more of these automated turrets in our way. Now, I think if we get hit at this point by the automated turrets, or maybe enough hits by the automated turrets, it does kind of like cause us to, get stunned for a quick second. Like we'll act like we got hit, like we got hit by a laser. But you can't die in this game. The only way that you can die is in this really weird mini game that's also featured at the end of the game. So there he goes flying off. Both times I've done this now, I've tried to shoot that little drop ship as it left, but neither time, as you probably have guessed, did it work. I think the only thing to do over here is to chow down on all these bodies and stuff. And I haven't even grown 1 time, so that's kind of crazy. But this is probably the longest level, and it makes sense, I guess. Like I said, this is definitely, I would say this is the coolest level. This is kind of how I would like to see the gameplay moving into a Ma 2. It's never going to exist, but like if you ever saw a game that was like inspired by this, because games like this get kind of abandoned over time, which is fine. I mean, like, this is not going to be a company's like saving grace, I don't think, is the Ma. But I do think that like a dedicated fan can like make a game that's inspired by something like this and feels very similar to it, and that's all I really care about, is kind of the same vibe. I could give a shit less if we got to see this little blue creature and his Ma again, even though the Ma is really cute. I think if this game dropped now and it was popular, you would probably see the Ma plushie for sale, if I had to guess. I don't know. I see plushies for sale for pretty much everything. Not that there's anything wrong with them. I just, I don't know. I have a certain amount of real estate in my room, and I never wanted any part of it to be like, I don't know, like a just stuffed animal, I guess, but maybe it's so different strokes, for everybody. It takes all kinds of people, like we were talking about earlier. I can see the appeal of it. I like getting my sisters and nieces and stuff like little plushes, and for their birthdays and Valentine's Day and stuff. I think it's sweet. Not all my sisters always have boyfriends around Valentine's Day, so I want to make sure to get them something. I think that most people should probably get something on Valentine's Day, at least ladies. It matters more to them. I don't really care to get anything. My mom sometimes gets us candy, which is nice. I don't know. I'm talking about stupid stuff. I don't know why I'm talking about that. Anyway, we were talking about a future prospect for like somebody creating games similar to this in the future. A lot of times old games, like, not even kind of like this, but like other games that play sort of similarly. Now, where are you getting off to, little pink goober? That play sort of similarly to this. I'm trying to think of like another game that kind of does it. Unfortunately, all I can think of are like 360 re-releases that go to so like Quantum Conundrum was another game I talked about. I played From Dust. Surely somebody has done like a sort of fan recreation of From Dust, like an inspired recreation of From Dust. I don't know though. We're just talking. I think now would be a good time to talk about Xbox 360 arcade games and indie games that I really liked. So I already played for the channel From Dust. I don't like the gameplay of, but I like the look of Cloning Clyde, which was, as I already mentioned earlier, like a puzzle platformer, leaning much more into the... Well, actually, I would say leaning much more into both of those categories, puzzling and platforming. This game, it's hard to give it a description as anything, really, because it's not really anything, if that makes any sense. And we're just playing with words because I can't be descriptive enough, I guess. All right, what else in terms? I liked, there's another game for the 360 called Survivalist, which I mentioned also earlier here, is a, like, manage your community, but also sort of actiony zombie survival game. That one's really good. I have prospects of at least playing the first one for the channel, and Survivalists, the White Strain, had its full release not long ago, which is the sequel to that. I got kind of lost here because I wasn't certain which direction I'd came from. Everywhere's kind of blending into one another, but of course this is the direction we're going. They are dropping hella mercenaries, hella turrets. I guess if you're like, you know, this kind of feels like a time where you're like, okay, this is our last push to really be able to stop the Maw, I guess. Or at least that feels like kind of what they're saying here, is because I guess we're kind of getting out of hand. Now, granted, we do have a really powerful power-up, because I feel like a regular Maw could probably get taken by this many guys in the turrets and stuff, so but not a Maw with a pretty good power up. I guess this one's good. What I guess Bull Beetle we could also say would probably beat all these guys. Maybe the Phantom power up, even like the electronic one. I don't know so much that the balloon one would. Has a good offensive move, but I don't know that that's enough for it defensively. I sort of assume like the Bull Beetle causes its defense to go up, it being the Maw. I don't know. We're just kind of talking about whatever as we finish out the level here. Surely this is like the last little bit of stuff that I'll actually have to eat, because we're running out of stuff in this level. Oh, thank goodness. So that's probably the last little bit of growing we'll have to do for this level. We'll see the, yep, we can go forward now. Like I said, I'm glad it lets us know when we can just go to the next level, because if you're not really trying to 100% this, you know, maybe you wouldn't know otherwise, like when you can continue on and when you can't. But now we know that we can. So moving on, I'm trying to think if there's any other... There was another game that's like a running 16-bit shooter zombie game. That one was kind of fun. I also think that one might have been multiplayer. And I'm talking specifically about indie and arcade games, which is the ones that you had to download from the Xbox Live Store and pay for with Microsoft points for the longest time. But then I think they realized that like converting into points is not really a very great way to do business. I'm kind of surprised. Maybe, I guess Roblox is the only thing I can think of that kind of still does something like that. And I guess V-Bucks too. Now, if it's all the same with these guys, considering that they can't really hurt me, I'm just going to blast them, and I'm not going to actually eat them. And I don't even think I'm going to blast all of them. Let's look at it from this angle. Whoa, that looks sick. Oh my god. I would put that in the trailer for this game for sure. Like I said, also a shame that it would be cool if we 100%ed this, if there was like maybe like an alternate ending or something. So we have a sentry turret that is locked onto us even from that angle. It's hitting weird corners. So what we need to do is just use our eye lasers to shoot that trail of mines and then blow it up. Cool. Easy as that. I've talked about so much lame stuff in this game. This has almost become like a sort of podcaster's joint, which I feel a little bit bad for. River Redirect, another DLC level. You'll also notice that we have again shrunk. So I think the first thing, actually hold up. If I don't have to, I don't want to let that guy shoot us just because, I don't know. I don't need to prove that there's a problem here we have to solve. So I'm going to try to land that. Oh no. Okay, what I'm going to do instead, because I would try to land it on the generator there to obviously take it out, what I'm going to do instead is just bring it down. Slamming these is always so much easier than just trying to do the ring around the rosy to cause it to like land into it. So much easier to wow, poor guy. It's kind of a shame. I don't mean to spoil anything necessarily. Like, it's kind of an anti-spoiler, but there's never any time in this game where like you'll actually fight any of those guys. So that's kind of a shame. Like, you never see like the Maw kind of go toe to toe with any of those. So that is the direction pretty clearly that we're going to have to go. I also see a lot of the little things that I'm going to be able to like use that as a hot air balloon or a balloon. But I'm going to have to platform first to solve something, I'm sure. I don't even remember what's up here. Might be an explosive to blow up those rocks or something. It's the only thing I can think, so that we can actually have a flat plane of rocks to have that worm dive down into. Really intricate puzzle stuff we got going on here. Any other sort of Xbox Live Indie Arcade games that I really liked? There's a lot of stuff that I liked for the 360 in general, but I could probably just sit here and name games for fucking hours, so we're not going to do that. I don't want to. That's kind of a waste of time. I don't really think there was anything else. It's kind of funny how big the digital storefront has come across my lifetime. I went from playing the PlayStation 1 to playing the... I didn't want to feed that to him. And he just kind of blew up a little bit. Is he going to spit it back out? Yes, sir. I went from playing the PlayStation 1 to the PlayStation 2 and like all the games pretty much in between. So, damn it, I keep throwing it into his mouth. I keep forgetting that the controls are sort of switched when you grab one of these. So I need to, Jesus God. You know what? I just need to ban that X button. Never hit the X button. Then I played like the N64, the GameCube a little bit. So like I've played a lot of, different physical consoles anyway. So it's weird in my lifetime to see them move digitally, but that's the next logical step. I mean, you had 8 megabyte memory cards back for the PlayStation 2, and like that was kind of knockout. But if they had the technology for, the ability to hold like a bunch of games onto like a memory card like that, you could bet your ass we would have seen that instead. Whoops, I didn't even mean to necessarily do that, but I do want to walk through this field and feed these little puffs to this guy. I don't know. It's just like I never thought that the digital storefront would kind of catch on in the way it has, and that isn't to say that people haven't spoken out and like been kind of apprehensive about the move from physical to digital. Of course, with the Stop Killing Games movement, which of course I agree with, but I just am not like. I don't see a reason to vocally speak out against it. Like I don't feel that my voice would add anything to it, so I don't really care to involve myself in the debate on it. But it's pretty clear where like if you're a good person, you stand, and if you're not a good person, where you don't stand. So I don't know. There's not like a ton of debate that I feel like you can have on something like that. So whenever you talk about like physical versus digital media, I feel like that's where a conversation like that kind of starts. And like, who has like the end, like, are you entitled to this game for a certain amount of time? I guess now most people say that you're entitled whenever you buy stuff digitally to a license to play that game. Which I guess is probably about as far as you're ever going to get on that discussion. I think something like GOG, for example, the digital storefront, is really the only competitor to Steam that makes the argument that you actually own the games that, well, you supposedly own. So, was there any... I just wanted to say that kind of crazy to see us go to mostly digital storefronts in that time, and that's the way I like it. I don't really have... I'm in a home, so like I've got plenty of space for stuff. So whenever I say like, I don't have the real estate for this, it's more like I just want to efficiently use the real estate that I have. And I've never been a guy who like cares for plushes, and like at a certain point I was like, man, these discs are taking up an awful lot of space, and the cases on top of that. There was a time in my life whenever I had all the cases for like the hundreds of games that I'd owned, that I'd grown up with, collected, bought at yard sales. I had just all kinds of space, what I feel like wasted. I ended up getting rid of the cases, and then eventually I'd end up getting rid of the physical games too. I don't know. It's just so much easier whenever you can, like, anything I want to play on PS2, I can emulate it on PCSX too. I don't know. I don't really see much of a reason not to go digital now, outside of the fact that, like, if they ever do some, and it's not equating a video game to the seriousness that was ever in 1984, but just to accentuate the point, unless they want to do like some 1984 type shit where they, it's nice that we can now just, he's so big that I can just throw these whole ass snails into his mouth. If they want to do some like 1984 shit and just be like, nope, you're only entitled to play the game for this long, and I guess like we'll probably see a move to piracy if they ever treat like a pretty serious move to piracy if they ever treat their customers like very badly. The only way that they currently even know how to fight piracy at this point is like the de novo encryption, at least as far as I'm aware of. Like nobody really, like most live services that you can think of for a game, unless it's multiplayer, then you're kind of shit out of luck. You need to pay for those. But like I'm thinking of like a game, there's like no new content updates for like a game that is going to come out that's like done in its entirety that's ever going to convince anybody to pay $60 who wasn't going to pay for it anyway. I don't even know what I'm talking about. Like I know what I'm talking about, but we're so off the topic of anything pertinent at this point that it's silly. Sorry if you came here looking for the mod gameplay. Maybe you should watch a no commentary play through this if you don't want to hear me just talk about the state of gaming and the history of gaming over, Jesus Christ, what's it been, probably 20 years or so, in the time that, like, you know, I played PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 and stuff. Oh, well, at least for the most part, like a friend and I were talking about, like, the indie gaming scene seems pretty nice right now. It's like any kind of game that you could imagine in your head, like somebody's probably doing or has already done or is like on the process of like making it. Even not, like, just look at the new popular Steam releases, or like look at your favorite online like creators. Like as I understand, I don't really watch them myself, but like a lot of people that I talk to really like Alpha Beta Gamer, which is just a person that like pretty much well, I don't think they comb it anymore, but they used to just like comb new releases on all the indie game, not even storefronts, but like releases like Game Jolt, itch.io. Oh, hey, cool. We are free to complete this level at our leisure. How much did I eat? Well, I guess I can't see because of the graphic that's on the screen right now. Hold on. 26 out of 70. So I only ate about a third of what there was in this level. Cool. Well, if I don't have to, I'm not going to. Yeah, I kind of lost whatever I was talking about, which means it must have been a lie, as my grandfather always said. All right, so we're getting pretty big at this point. Now, this is a DLC level, so we probably won't maintain this size going into the next level, but we were already pretty big at the end of the last level. I would almost argue that we were about this size in the last level. I don't know. This is called like River Redirect. It's a fine DLC level. I think about like if you cut the DLC levels out of this game, how it'll be about, I don't know, 40 minutes. And probably, honestly, across this game, like with my playthrough of all the DLC levels and stuff, I would assume it's going to be about an hour 20 minutes, hour 30 minutes, maybe 2 hours, because like that seems to be about like what a long play is kind of clocking in for this game. And I don't think I'm going to be able to do it any faster than that. Not that it really matters, but I'll play the game until it's beat. That's what I do every time, after all. But I don't know. Maybe we should get back to this game. What do we want to talk about next? How pretty it is, or another game it reminds me of? Folks, place your bets now. Which one am I going to talk about? Maybe I'll talk about another holiday that my family and I celebrate. I don't know. The 360 I felt like was such a step up from what like PS2 had super pretty cell shaded graphics, right? And then you move on from that to, I don't even know what you would call something like this. The first couple of games that I remember being released for the like 360 that I played were really basic in terms of the art style, like kind of like this a little bit. They weren't doing any, I don't know what, like Alan Wake I think was pretty Oh wow, what are some other games? I guess like bleeding into the 360, you had like Half-Life, Left 4 Dead. Oh yeah, that's right. We got the river open now, so we can get rid of our floaty power up and instead grab a hold of these lizards and feed them to the maw. That's the next step for us. So that's my trick. I trick you by saying that this is a maw playthrough, and then once you get here, I just yap about the most boring shit in the world. Really, the only people that the only people who would be interested in what I had to say in terms of like the modern state of gaming and the history of it is probably me. I don't think that I don't know. It's a real kind of niche case, especially as like gamers kind of get younger and I get kind of older. Now, for the most part, it's not like there's like a demographic that's like becoming much more pronounced than the other one, but like it's very clear at this point, I think, that like people don't really care about like well, to best accentuate the point, do you remember, like, I don't know, probably like 10, 12, 14 years ago now, like, whenever there was, like, the now memed on movement, like, you don't mess with gamers, like, we control a big, like, part of the industry now at this point that, like, you can't afford to disrespect us. Also, I'm not going to blow up all those. I thought they were going to chain react into one another and, like, blow up this laser, but that appears not to be the case. But I don't know if you guys remember that, like, you don't mess with gamers or some shit like that. That now gets just super memed on because it absolutely deserved to be. That, like, was something that at least at one point, like, those people felt like they should have been taken seriously for, which is like, it deserved to be memed on, but the fact that they ever had that opinion of themselves is kind of indicative of, like, a certain generation, I feel like, having a certain amount of power over the industry that, I don't know. Consumers control any industry where there's money involved in it, which is every industry, spoiler alert. So, like, it's always going to be tailored to, like, what's most convenient to somebody. Is it like a convenience for them to do it, and is it like a price that's semi-appropriate? Also, competition's always a thing. This is the explosion thing that I was talking about, where like these just kind of keep bumping into one another. I guess it's cute if you want to show off that you can animate this, but as far as like adding anything to the level, shrug emoji. All right, I think we're a little bit over halfway through the game. I can't remember what I in my mind. I have 3 more levels in mind before the very last level, and even then, I don't remember what the gimmick is for those. So I see we've got a man, one of the mercenaries here, and it looks like I lost control of the maw. Come on, come back here, buddy. He gets really hard to control the bigger that he gets, which is I mean, it's never a problem where, like, it's going to ruin things for me or anything like that, but, oh, nice, and they stored all their fuel capsules underneath of them. Now, that was a funny animation. Wow, and that was a pretty one. Reminds me of the new Minecraft, like, fireworks and stuff. I think the very last time I played was whenever they added in the fireworks, or at least that's the last version of Minecraft that I played. I don't know. I keep trying to, like, maybe dip my toe back into it and stuff, but then I see, like, they've got all these, like, pillager mansions and, I don't know, the what are they called, like the wardens and stuff. I always see like a random meme about it, which gives me a little bit of context for how it's kind of going and stuff. But people always clown on Mojang that they add in so little stuff for how much time and how much or the size of their production company. But me personally, like, the game's just getting too cluttered for me to play it. I mean, this whole game is just me saying that I'm too old for video games. Very John and Arthur type conversation, like getting too damn old for these video games, Dutch. So we are stealing a speeder and from this guy here. We're cruising off. Oh my god, poor guy. He's definitely going to get in trouble. All right, so This is a super simple segment. It's not very difficult. I was saying that there's 2 times in the game that you can die. This is one of them. They're both the same mini game, more or less. I don't really know how much explaining I can do here, how important it is because of how quick of a segment it is. But obviously, we're on a speed bike. There are oftentimes these like laser gates that are that lock off progression to the level by these generators. So you have to destroy the generators to open up the laser gates, and then there's probably something big in the middle that you have to explode afterwards, and that completes the that little portion of the level anyway. And you do that over and over and over and over and over again until the level is beaten. This is actually I don't want to say this is a long level. I actually am kind of bummed that they included this as a DLC mission over just like another eating mission. There's nothing inherently wrong with this, but this is just they took the mechanics that are in the final level and then just kind of reiterated them in this level, which I felt was just a little lame anyway. So if you want like tips for how to do this very well, just you want to go with the grain here, the way that the bullets are flying. It's spinning clockwise, and that's kind of the way you want to go too. You don't want to be fighting it counterclockwise, or you're going to have a really hard time. I think that Ma gradually, as you like progress through the level, will eat the enemies that you knock out. If we get knocked out by something, like let's say I die here in just a second, the checkpoints are super friendly in this area, so I'm not even close to concerned about dying. In fact, I super anticipate it. Like an area here, for example, sure, you could like pop all the stuff in the outskirts. You do get invincibility frames. Like I said, the checkpoint's super forgiving, but if you just destroy the like main building, it destroys all the adjacent buildings, which saves you a bunch of time. I don't know, we're not like speed running stuff here, don't get me wrong, but I just don't really care for this level very much. You know what it does kind of remind me of a little bit? If any of you guys played the Spyro 3, I think it was Year of the Dragon, there were Sparks missions in that one, and it looks a lot like this. It's not like identical, but it has a very similar feel. At least in the Sparks missions, there was like actual enemies you had to contend with, and maybe some actual combat. This here, you're just dropping bombs over and over and over and over and over again. I don't know. It's fine. It's just not really that special either. So I do think, yeah, we're going to get hit. It is bullet hell. I like some bullet hell games. For example, I plan on playing Undertale in the future. I just haven't played it since like I was in high school, which is, my God, been years ago now. Every story I tell that's not related to the Maw in this game, my hairline recedes another centimeter. So I'm going to pop the generators here first, discounting where, like, I'm not worried about the other buildings. I'm just going to blow up the big main building and then move on. I do plan on playing Undertale eventually. I haven't played it since I was in high school, though, so it's funny how much I could have told you about that game in high school versus now. Like, I'm just so super ignorant on it now, and I'm super interested in Deltarune, but I actually have been very careful not to get spoiled at all in that game. Now, I'm aware of like some minor spoilers, like I think most people are. Like I think like the egg stuff I'm a little bit aware of. I'm aware of like kind of the dark world-ish stuff, like a very little bit. I'm aware also that like they bring other characters back that you've seen before, like in the last Undertale game and shit. The Deltarune was something that you saw from Gerson, I think it was in Undertale. Like, I'm aware of like some basic things, but like I have no idea anything about Chris, Rousey, who's the lady? I can't think of her name. Like the pink member of your party. I can't remember. Up this way is, I think, yeah, we can bomb these. Up this way is where the little what is it, the like snot thing is. I'm just gonna pop it open, it doesn't matter. We have so far like completely lost the Maw at this point. Thank God that we don't really, okay, we do need him to complete this level, but the time at which we need him is like he'll get spawned on us, so thank God for that, right? Oh yep, there's the Maw behind us. I was just talking about like bullet hell games. I never liked the Toho games. Hopefully I pronounced them right. I like the Toho spin-off games. Like there's a oh, what the hell is it called? Triple Triad knockoff game that's on Steam that's called like, wow, like I can't remember, like Toho card game or something simple. I like that. I'm sure that there's like a fighting game. I'd probably like to watch the fighting game, but I wouldn't actually like to play it. I'm not a fighting game type guy necessarily. The only ones I like are for like IPs that I really like. Like I played Dragon Ball Z. There's like some Naruto games that I plan on playing in the future that are fighting games. Those ones in particular like kind of interest me, but I never really cared for the Toho games in general. Like I said, super forgiving checkpoints here. Perfect. Now, I would say that we're pretty close to finishing out this mission. If the Maw happens to eat a bunch of bodies, then he happens to eat a bunch of bodies. Is this the end of the mission? I can't remember. Oh, yeah, we're getting a cutscene. This is the end of the mission. So this is a 3-phaser. They're all pretty well identical. You're just dodging all the... You're dodging all the projectiles as you kind of move forward. Like I said, not even close to difficult, especially with how forgiving the checkpoints are. I was trying to debate, like, in my opinion, do I want super unforgiving checkpoints for this game? Like, which one's better? Or the super forgiving ones that they have? Like, if you died, for example, reset, like... Well, I guess this would probably almost certainly take you to the beginning of the boss fight, but like before now, like take you back pretty much to the beginning of the level. You have to redestroy stuff. And I like the forgiving aspect. You know, this game definitely feels like what it's marketed towards. This game's rated E10 plus, and it, you know, it feels like that age demographic for sure. There's a certain amount of excitement that kind of comes from like, you know, lasers and eating monsters and being scared of, you know, just shit, the way that the Maw is. So, like I said, this is in 3 phases, all very similar to one another. This is still phase 1. We're hitting these explosives into the gate that is in front of us. He is coughing up all these explosives, and we just have to hit them with a bomb, and then they fly into the gate. It's super, super simple stuff. I think the level of difficulty comes from they eventually activate these outer lasers. No, or maybe they just get quicker, all the lasers, because I see they're activated now, so it really doesn't matter. Probably one more explosive. Now, the Maw will only cough up the number of explosives that you need. So, like, for example, if it took 2 more to explode the gate entirely, he would only cough up 2 more explosive barrels. I can't believe I died there, honestly. Yeah, so it looks like the Maw's running all the way to the back. So I would say this is the very last one that we have to do before we're out of phase 1. Cool. So, like I said, 3 phases. They respawn the generators, and then we have to destroy the generators, and then knock the bombs into the wall, and so on. Honestly, I'm already tired of this boss fight, question mark. This isn't much a boss fight. This is as much a boss fight as you're probably going to get in this game, so... I don't know. And probably the way that I'm playing makes it look like I'm just banging my head into a wall until I can beat it. And that is kind of true. At least that's the way it feels. I am trying my best to actually dodge and do this, though. I'm not just like pressing forward on the controller and bashing the A button. It feels like it, though. And we're dead. Okay, we only have one more generator to take down. I think the only thing we're doing by taking down these generators, which you can notice in the cutscene that plays afterwards, is it like opens these weird panels on the wall. I just kind of wish the Maw would maybe spit this stuff up a little bit quicker, but I mean, I don't know. I just don't particularly like this level either. I think that we have to hit like, what is it, like 6 of these things or so? I'm not able to tell. It doesn't matter. We also have more of the like bulb nests, the little red bulb nests that we have to I guess we could destroy. It would probably actually do me good to destroy them while we're just waiting and flying around here. Oh, brother. All right. Well, there you go. That's that. Also, like, it would kind of suck if it featured a live system, but that's probably how you start to balance this a little bit, is like maybe give your player like 10 lives in a level like this. But to be fair, like not until now is our lives even a thing that you would even have to consider. Any other time, it's always just been puzzles. So you can also bomb the Maw. I'm not sure that we'll be able to in this segment because, like, you know, he's super important to what's going on here, but throughout the rest of this level, you can bomb him if you want to for fun. Alright, so the Maw is going to step out while we bomb the rest of these generators. Looks like this is the last 4. I know that the music kind of kicks in and there's more projectiles to dodge, but I don't know. I didn't really care for this level too much. This is, I don't know if I mentioned it, this is actually a DLC level. This is the last one of the trio. I actually think we probably have one more normal level to go. Actually, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what we have coming up. But I do think that we only have one more normal level to go. And then that should be the end, like, one more normal, one final level, and then we're done with this game. Which is kind of crazy because unless this boss fight takes another 30 minutes, like, this is going to be a kind of shorter game. I don't remember this being so short when I played it as a kid, but to be fair, I probably would, like, I don't know, play a level and then do my homework and then go to bed whenever I came home from school at this specific point in my life. So lovely. We got shot out of the air, but at least the Maw is still going around hawking up bombs, so that's good for us in terms of actually beating the level. I don't know, this boss fight, I'm glad we're just about done with it because it's overstayed its welcome for sure. I thought it was just going to be like, you know what, honestly 2 phases would have been fine for this. Even if they wanted to make the second stage the first stage and the third stage the second stage, and just make it kind of harder instead of just making it long and drawn out. Because, like, we're waiting on me to do half decent, we're waiting on the Maw to hawk stuff up, we're waiting on, like, me to be able to blow up the generators over and over again. I don't know. If you wanted to, you could, like, go around destroying stuff, I guess, to make it easier on yourself, but really, you're not, relative to the amount of work that you're kind of putting in, it's not that much easier. So alright, is that the last one? Bro, okay, cool, it is. So we destroy that, and I think we get to see the conclusion of the pissing mercenary at the end of this level. I really can't remember. Oh, nice, it looks like one of the projectiles is stuck there on the ground. Well, good for it. Alright, so that has been the end of that level. We only ate 34 out of 60 of these soldiers, but that's good. So this guy, he's out of breath, and he's finally caught up to us. He's like, hey, wait, that's my speeder bike. And I think that the Maw is the one that sees him. Oh, nice. So he's like, nice, I got my speeder bike back. And he goes to leave, but then the Maw eats him. I can understand why the little alien is horrified, but in the same vein of thinking, I also understand why the Maw ate it. Unless, of course, this little monster wanted that bike. Alright, so it looks like we got 30 things to eat here. I think we got 2 more levels, actually. So that's good. More time to play this game. So I don't think we have much to do down here right this very second. What we're going to do instead is go over this way, because as you probably noticed, we have another one of the like the floaty bugs that have the electrical things that allowed us to do the phantom power up last time, which we're going to need for this level to beat it. And I forget if we grow, surely we grow probably twice in this level, right? I guess it doesn't really matter all that much. Now I'm going to go ahead and, oh, the Maw's getting shot by something. Or maybe he got shot by these like turrets or whatever. Doesn't really matter. I think the move, should I? Yeah, I guess I should go over here and grab these snails. It's funny, they look like they get bigger, and they probably do in terms of like model size, but like I don't think they ever they ever like give us more kilograms, total kilograms. It's whatever. I don't know. I was kind of sad to see, because you think about like the state of like a kind of game studio, and like honestly, my kid self anyway wants to believe that like people who are a game studio are able to make the games that they want to make pretty much forever and are able to make a living off of it. But unfortunately, you know, child like whimsy and real life never really add up. So that's not the case. But it is kind of sad to see these people lean so much into VR. I really don't think VR is the future. Now, I've made a lot of wrong calls. I've made a lot of right calls. As far like, if you'd asked me, let's see, what is this, 2025? If you asked me 10 years ago if the storefront was going to change to, if the storefront changing to mostly digital was going to stick, I'd have said, you're absolutely fucking crazy. So I definitely miss on a lot of my predictions. But VR is not the future. It is crazy expensive for what it is, and it does not bring that much to the table, in my opinion. It's just kind of it's like a novelty a little bit. I did it like one time, and I played like some game on my phone, and that was about the extent of my even interest in it at that point. Wow, we're gonna be here just floating around for a little bit, aren't we? So needless to say, I don't really think that. I'm surprised there's a big enough audience for VR as it stands right now. I've got a brother who's really into VR. Should I try and drop down below? Nah, not right now. Not right now. I think I just need to keep following these things until I can get down there near where the king is or the queen. Yeah, we're headed over that way. And he really likes Gorilla Tag, which is a VR game. He likes I don't know. He'll always tell me about like some VR game that he's been playing on his little VR Oculus headset, and I don't know, man. I feel like if he had a console, because he's got a lot of handhelds, I feel like if he had a console, he'd probably like the novelty, or not the novelty, but like he would like that over. He would like an actual console over. Like something that you have to wear on your face and are like have a pretty restricted movement and stuff. Now I need to pop that open, which I think actually comes from hitting it with this like electrical thing. Now I did call for the maw there, and I'm going to grab this electrical ball so that I can open this. There we go. Very nice. So it is like a little electrical powered thing. Cool. I don't know. So I felt bad that these guys were actually just working on some kind of VR slop. Now I'll tell you a game that I guess Rick and Morty into like the Morty, what is it, into the Rick verse, into the multiverse. I don't know. It doesn't matter. The VR Rick and Morty game that there was, I guess that was kind of cool a little bit, but that novelty wore out for me pretty quickly. And it wasn't like, I didn't feel anyway, it wasn't like they made like they went like Rick and Morty into the Mortyverse or whatever, and then they like really leaned into it and we're like, okay, we're going to do another game, we're going to do a lot of updates and stuff. Nah, it was just like that one game. It had a lot of charm to it, and that was pretty much the end of it. So I'm going to grab a hold of the maw here and let that thing come over and try and grab it on these rocks, and then I'll send the maw down to eat it. Cool. Go ahead there, Buster Brown. All right, 9 out of 30, and I wonder if we'll get a growth off this. I guess it depends on if we're growing 1 time or 2 times. Aha, we're probably going to grow 2 times, and that is a growth that we just got there. Cool. Yeah, because we didn't get a one of the cutscenes showing us that we unlocked everything in this area, or like we're ready to progress to the next area. Whoops, I didn't want to do that. I want to throw this into the maw's mouth. So I don't know. I wish these guys could do whatever they wanted for forever in the gaming industry, and hopefully that doesn't include just making some random fucking random VR game. Maybe this is just my deep-seated hatred for VRs coming out, but I really don't feel like I dislike them. I just don't think that they're the future. I'd say like console or like controllers sort of feel like they've peaked. I don't know how many more buttons that you could hit other than what you've got now. Like control schemes definitely feel like they've hit a standard that's like, I don't want to say perfect because like I don't know, it's like whenever they add in that button on the back that like makes your brain explode, you're like, I wanted this the whole time. I don't want to be the guy that died on that hill, but as it kind of stands, I think that like, consoles have probably reached their epitome. Like I don't know what I don't know where you kind of go from here other than to focus on games. And as I understand it, like whenever a company does a game for like, let's say like a movie is coming out. Let's say there's a new Cars movie coming out. They don't actually make their money back on the production of a video game. Like let's say they put like something very basic. Let's say they put $3 million into the game. That would never happen. It's going to be much more expensive than that. But let's say they put $3 million into the game. They would only really expect it to make $750,000, $1 million back. When in contrast, what they really make money off of is like, people who like we'll see the new Cars video game, and then we'll go to like we'll say like Walmart or whatever and buy like the new Cars plushie because they are aware that the Cars video game is kind of fun and stuff like that. Like they won't make money off the digital sale of the good, but like through physical goods that then come out related to that IP. At least that's the way that I had it explained to me once, probably about like 8 years ago or so, because I was curious. I was like, why aren't they putting out more video game sort of adjacent, like, or movie adjacent video games? Because I've always enjoyed those. One that sticks out to me is the Robots video game for the movie Robots, obviously. I think that was like a little Disney joint. I know it kind of looks like we're doing nothing here, but this is actually a really boring part of this level. Now, we did grow all the times that we actually need to, and what we have to do is float all the way over to where the king is seated, and he's seated actually kind of far away, where we have to use this air or balloon to float over to him. So I asked somebody, I was like, why haven't they been making, like, for the newest movies? Like, you would think the new Sonic the Hedgehog movie wouldn't just have some, like, shit-ass iPhone app or whatever it has. Like, I know it certainly hasn't dropped a console game. Like, where is the, maybe, like, the live-action one? Because, like, maybe get to see Jim Carrey kind of doing some goofy stuff in it. Like, where is that? But they had explained to me that, like what I just explained to you, and that's they don't really make their money off of the video game. Like, they might use it as a adjacent type deal. Like, they make money off of it, obviously, but they don't like end up in the black at the end of everything. Like, they end up in the red, sort of. And that's the way I had explained to me. And maybe that's not the best case, because the Sonic kind of movies were really popular on their own. I would argue more that, like, the Sonic movies kind of promoted the Sonic games a little bit. But I guess you kind of look at something like maybe the Yakuza games. Now, this, I'm definitely leading into territory that I don't know. And I could think of one subscriber that will absolutely correct me if this isn't the case. But, I don't know how... my presumption would be like something in the Yakuza games, which are made by Sega. Like, they probably don't end up in the black after they produce a game, but instead they like make it off of the physical residuals a little bit. Like, I'm thinking, I think there was like not like an alcohol set, like you could buy booze from Yakuza, but there was like a drink set that came complete with like glasses and stuff. You could get that for, like, themed of the Yakuza or whatever. And that was like $300. Same way with like Atari shit. Go look at the Atari merch website whenever you get a chance. I have talked about nothing this playthrough. Go look at the Atari merch shop whenever you get a chance. They have like fucking hoodies for like $60. They have like drink sets for like fucking $250. And here's my question. Is the artisan that created those, is he charging, that amount of money for that? I doubt it. Is the materials that it's made out of? Now you're starting to lean into my grandfather a little bit at that point, because my granddad was always a guy who was like, surely that game's not worth $60. But then you like look at what's inside of it and stuff, and it's like an experience, like a ticket that you buy, the paper of the ticket is not worth, I don't know, what is it, like $12 now, $13. But, obviously the experience of the thing is worth more than $12, or at least worth $12. But yeah, the Atari website, I get ads for them occasionally, and I'm like, oh, that's like a very pretty, that's like a pretty standing thing. Like, it's like a little, like a joystick that's shaped like an Atari stick. And I'm like, oh shit, that looks kind of cool actually. And then I go to like see how much that like thing is, and it's like fucking like $480. And I'm like, who is buying this? Like, my grandmother actually likes the Atari games, and she had an Atari. I don't know about growing up. The ages get kind of muddied there a little bit, but she had an Atari for a long time as like a kid, teenager, or whatever. You're really getting in my way here, Ma, please. As like a teenager or whatever, and she likes it now. But I couldn't see her like just buying an Atari like shot glass or whatever, between the maw and this beetle, they're really fucking me up here. Okay, this one actually should get us where we're going. So, to get back to the game here after fucking 40 minutes, this is an interesting new segment for the bull beetle. You're just kind of baiting them, like, what do they call them, like bulls in the rodeo a little bit, like the old bull minigame type deals that you've probably seen in at least a couple of video games now, where they you like lead them in one direction and then dive out of the way. Now, is the maw going to go to where we were or where we are currently? It looks like he is coming to where we are currently, which is good. What we're going to do is we're going to go over to here to where this beetle is, and we're going to bait the maw. Oh, excuse me, my nose is getting stuffed here. We're going to bait the maw into, or not the maw, bait the bull beetle into charging at this like piece of metal, this crashed ship. Kind of crazy. They had a bunch of ships that crashed here, obviously. All right, so we're going to land that into that guy. Cool. And the maw is still slowly meandering this way. So by the time he gets over here, we'll have a bull beetle ready to feed him, which is kind of leaning towards the very end of our upgrades for the bull beetle, or for the maw. I think we've got 2 more growth upgrades, and we're done. This level, the only kind of form upgrade is the bull beetle. So, wow, so pretty whenever he transforms. Reminds me of the Kirby transformations a lot. So, if you don't remember, our guy here can charge. So that's kind of cool. I think we can charge into these bull beetles, and if we do it twice, he automatically eats them. So there we go. There's another one eaten. I'm going to go this way. I'm going to try to get a lot of my eating done before we go to close out this level, because we actually need 2 more growth forms. Oh, wow, I cannot believe I hit anything. I don't know. Was there... Oh, I do hear something that we can eat there. Oh, it's just one little tiny ass puff thing. All right, well, there you go, Ma. What are we at? That'll put us at 8 out of 52. So this is the last normal level. I kind of like this one because it feels like, and I mean we are in a chasm type deal. Like, no longer are we in lush fertile fields for the Ma to like eat a whole bunch of stuff. You know, you think... Once again, lush, fertile fields, like lots of animals probably grazing. You're thinking about like apple trees and orchards. Like just places where like vegetation is so very flush. So then whenever like you look at this here and we've grown to a certain size, like it's kind of, I don't know, ominous? Is that the word maybe I'm looking for? Wow, the maw does not even appear on screen fully whenever I get very close to him. That's crazy. That's how big the maw has gotten. Good thing that we're buddies with him and that he has chosen not to eat us. The ending of this game is kind of interesting in the grand scheme of things. All right, maw, let's get you fed up. How about it? Whoops, I can't expect him to come up here. Wow, now that we're back here in the game, I feel like I've just been talking about... This is a completely wasted playthrough. This has been a complaint of the industry and a concession of where it's at, and then like a history of said industry, and it's been such a waste. I feel like this video almost kind of... Maybe this ought to be bonus content, because this has just been nothing for probably an hour and a half. I don't know. I don't got a timer on the screen. I would have to check the footage. But anyway, I think that this is the last of the things that we can eat before continuing on. So I don't think we can eat that big mother bull beetle, but that's fine. I'm not overly concerned about that. I'm glad we don't have to pop these snails anymore. They... I always considered to be fairly annoying whenever you had to pop them before. Have we grown... even once, now that I'm thinking about it, from being like eating over in this area? I really don't think we have. Maybe we'll only have to eat enough to grow. No, we have to grow 2 more times. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. All right, anyway, continuing on, I'm going to head over to where we actually have to make progress. This level, I've sort of artificially inflated the time of it, not intentionally though. Maybe it'll end up saving us some time down the road at least. We'll see. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. Now that I've played so many games where there's like callbacks between the games and stuff, I'm a little bit greedy when compared to 2012, whenever, you know, this was just kind of a standalone game that you were meant to enjoy. And little Dr. Dirk, oh my god, he probably loved this game so much for me to just talk shit on it. But if he knew how far games have come, man, if I could have little Dr. Dirk play some of the games that like I've enjoyed a lot now, holy shit. I don't know if we would like the same games. Of course, not speaking in the third person here. I'm not a complete idiot, but I'm just talking like, you know, would 10 years ago me enjoy the same kind of games that I do now? And I look at like this year I've released the Sly playthroughs, I think Jack 2 at the very beginning of the year or at the end of last year. And yeah, I play a lot of the old games that I liked, but like, you know, my interests have kind of diversified wildly too. I don't think that I ever would have. Wow, what are some games that I played for the channel that I certainly wouldn't have played any scary games. That's something for fucking sure. Like the Outlast, yeah, that was not going to ever happen whenever I was 14, 15. Maybe I would watch Markiplier play it just to reference him again, but never myself. I don't really know, because like back then I was like playing Halo and shit, so I played like a lot of probably stuff that we've already seen on the channel before back then too. So I'm not really bringing anything super new to the table. I guess I would probably want like younger me to play like Cavern of Dreams. That's a good game. Of course, Inscription. I would still say it has been very hard for me not to consider Inscription probably my favorite game of all time. It's also like, if you look at the first couple videos that I ever posted on this channel, like they were related to Inscription, and kind of like a post-mortem. This isn't really the place to talk about it, but like, you know, you consider like then versus now. I only ever created that video at the time because like nobody had a timeline and people were kind of confused, and like nobody was ever rude about it or anything, but like the community was kind of left in the dark in terms of a timeline, which is how Daniel Mullins wanted it. You know, he wanted somebody to come through and like kind of try their best to like draw up a timeline and stuff like that. But you know, I felt like we kind of needed it, like as a community, so I made that video. And then I had some other questions about the mycologist, and you know, I wanted to kind of voice those questions. And I think at the time, I can't remember, but I think at the time, at the end of that video, I was like, I plan on making one of these videos a week. And that was a time when I was not employed. So funny how quick a job will humble you in that regard. So we grew one time, and even though we got the check mark, we do actually have to grow one more time, which is a little bit misleading, but hey, it doesn't break my heart. What is happening here? Okay, we must be too close to the gate. Let me get the maw pulled back, and then we'll get him to charge. Beetull Smash. No, its name is not the bull beetle, it's just Beetull, probably for bull, B-U-L-L. All right, so we are progressing forward. Yeah, this definitely seems like the kind of playthrough I should have just scrapped, but I don't know, we're here for it. These guys you actually don't get to eat or can't eat. They also aren't on the food. Wow, what's it called? There's like a circle of life. It's not on the circle of life for this level. So really, I don't find the animations for this, like, really, this is cool. Don't get me wrong on this. That's sick. But I don't think on the whole that this level is all that interesting as far as like just running into turrets and stuff. Like, that's something we've been seeing throughout the whole game pretty much. All right, so hopping up to this ledge here, where we can bait another bull beetle into charging another, well, a generator. I think this is the first time we've ever had a bull beetle charge a generator. Pisses him off, he runs into the generator, and then we can continue on forward. We are pretty close to not only the end of this level, but also the end of this playthrough. Alright, come on, Ma. Whoops, I didn't mean to call for you. I keep thinking that I'm close enough to grab his collar, but collar. We got 20 more eatables on the level. And I don't know if that counts the final thing that we eat, because that might just be a kind of mission objective. We'll see once we get close. So I'm going to charge into this beetle, the bull beetle as I've been calling it. I think bull beetle is the real life name of the kind of beetle that looks like that. So that's why I've been calling it the bull beetle. There we go. Let's get on track. So this will take off automatically. I think that the ship designs look really cool. They remind me a lot of the Brotherhood of Steel vertibird designs. And of course, I thought those looked awesome. The turrets, I could take them or leave them. I don't really give a shit about those. I don't think they look very cool. I think we have one more section where we can... excuse me, my nose is really getting stuffed here. We got fall kind of rolling in at the time I'm kind of recording this, or I guess probably by the time you'll see this, it'll have been in full swing by now, fall. This will probably come out like 2 or 3 weeks after I record it. So, alright, so all we have to do is eat a couple things. Actually, I might be able to, using his tongue, eat enough stuff down here that we can just continue on. Like I said, we only have to grow one more time, so that's kind of nice. I wonder if I can just eat all the stuff that's down here without having to do that platforming joint I see we have coming up. I don't know. We're getting kind of close. Alright, looks like I am going to have to go up there, and I think I have to use him to charge and break a rock up there. No, maybe not. Hold on, let me go up there. Maybe I have to use explosives. I really don't remember this part all that well. We got 9 more things in the level, and I'm pretty certain that I don't have to feed them every little thing. So, okay. So let me pull this out of here. Maybe the snails are like what I need to be feeding them. I don't know. Alright, continuing on, because I know I made that statement at the beginning of the game that you could pretty much feed them whatever, but now the fact that, like, I fed him a lot of stuff in the last time I played this too. Maybe I'm just misremembering. Alright, nope, we gotta feed you a little bit more. How about another snail? Cool, that's the last one we gotta feed him. His eye looks really pretty in this cutscene. It's got, like, hexagonal, like, looks to it. It looks like a beehive, his eye does. Alright, or more like Tron panels or something like that. That's how the mercenaries, like, their armor looks too, is like they've got these little Tron, like, hexagonal, some of them anyway, hexagonal patterns. One gonal, not Gonigal, not Professor McGonagall. Alright, let's go ahead and wrap this level up. So we've got one more charging segment to go. We only had 7 more things to eat on the level, but like I said, 100%ing a given level doesn't really do anything for anybody, so there's no reason to really do it. I guess if you were achievement hunting type of guy, it might be in your best interest, but I'm not, so it's not. Nice, we destroyed that little troop transport ship, and I think we run through a couple of these. I really can't remember. I thought there was like a segment where there was like 4 of these, like, all back to back to back, but maybe I'm not remembering quite right. Is this the end of the level? No, it looks like we have a little bit further to go. So doesn't look like there's anything to eat here, so I'm a little bit confused at what the move is. I know I'm gonna have to, like, let's go destroy this rock over here because it's got the destroyable rock texture. This level's a lot longer than I kind of remember it. Alright, Ma, you're good on that charge. Now I see obviously over there are some more rocks I have to charge into as well. I think I'm thinking one of the bonus levels in terms of, like, where you have to charge into things in a really particular way. Alright, 7 more things to eat on the level, and I know I ignored a lot of the little peep looking things earlier. So, moving up here, I'm kind of curious of, oh, you know what I have to do? Actually, I have to grab this rock and then drop it onto the generator. Hey, at least it knew exactly what I wanted to do. I see we have a lot more turrets coming up as well. Over there is where the little floating collectible this map is. Kind of looks almost like the Maw should just be able to grab it, but I won't tell him what to do. He can grab it if he wants. Wow, look how big he's getting. That would be such a fun enemy to fight in, like, an RPG or something. Absorption in video games I thought was really cool. Now, I've mentioned Kirby probably 100 times in this playthrough, but, like, Boo in the Dragon Ball Z series was really cool, and I really liked him in terms of the Budokai 2, where you could have him absorb like a lot of random characters, and he like got stronger the more people that he absorbed and stuff like that. I always thought that was really cool. But if you want to see that, you're going to have to watch my Budokai 2 playthrough, which is currently out. I actually really like the Budokai and Budokai 2 playthrough a lot. They are two playthroughs that turned out exactly kind of the way that I wanted them to. The first one was like a lot of the kind of really cool storytelling that you felt from the old DBZ anime itself. And then the second one was a lot like me just kind of playing around and all the fighting what ifs and stuff, which I thought was really cool, and exploring the maps and stuff. That one leaned more into the RPG element of that game. So I don't know. I like that one a lot. I can't believe it. I would look at a risk analysis of this video, and I've probably talked about the Maw for 30% of it, if that. This here I thought was kind of nifty, I guess, but again, like, I'm way over. Like, these guys couldn't handle me 6 levels ago. What do you mean they can't handle me now? Duh, we all know this already, bro. Okay, this is the segment I was talking about, where we break through like 5 of these gates. Makes you wonder, like, why they locked all this up, but I think we might get our answer on the other side. Oh, good thing they had all these cargo transports just all lined up ass to ass with one another, huh? Cool. So there is a big king paw, or what have I been calling him? Peebs? Whatever. It doesn't matter. Something really cool about this I just kind of want to show off here. You can charge into these gold piles and they destroy. So that's kind of interesting. Anyway, that's all I care to do that for. I don't know the point of this. It doesn't really feel like there is one, but now we know why the gates were there, so that they could guard this king peep. And whenever the Maw eats it, I accidentally tabbed the food cycle there. All of a sudden, the Maw, like, you know, he has this like happen to him, and he grows really, really big. So a heck of a step up from where we had him before, isn't that right? And then we use like our little leash to get a hold of him, and we ate 12,000 kilograms there, and our lifetime kilograms eaten are 40,000. Interesting. So that bleeds us into the last level, Planet Maw. Whenever I was a kid, I thought that this was as cool as levels get. I was like, ain't no fucking way that levels are this cool. Also, very charming detail. The Maw's eye catches us there, and you know, keeps us from like busting our ass on him. And then he has to blink because obviously it hurt whenever we landed on him. So they dispatch cargo ships towards us, and we have to jack them. Speaking of jack, reminds me a little bit of the Lost Frontier, like the jacking that you can do as Daxter in that game. But unfortunately, even though I plan on playing that game one day, it is not a very good game, The Lost Frontier. Alright, so that is that. So this segment opens up by the collar being grabbed by a bunch of random ships all around. And like I said earlier, you know, how there were going to be 2 minigames like this at a certain point. This is the second of those 2 minigames. Going to be a lot of explosions. I will probably die at least once, I would guess, just because of the nature of this level. It's kind of long. Also, like, I wish you could see the projectiles coming at you a little bit better as you're kind of moving and stuff. Like, the camera needs to be out just a little bit more. But I understand why they gave, like, this kind of an illusion anyway, like, that you're the size that you are. Like, obviously, as big as the Maw is, as big as these, like, big cargo carriers are, like, you know, you feel a certain way kind of coming into this level. It's like at the end of the Incredibles game, if you guys have ever played that, like, kind of the illusions of size that they do. I can't remember, wasn't it called, like, Omni Droid or something like that in that game, or that movie, too? It was also in the Incredibles, that, the big bad metallic monster, that's like kind of the idea, at least for here too. So I think I need to be pulling it in a little bit to the maw. I haven't actually had nearly as much trouble as I thought I would here. I have been hit a couple of times. If you like die, wow, actually that's kind of a, well, we might naturally see that cutscene. So there's like a cutscene of like you flying at the top of the screen, which has the potential, I suppose, to, like I said, happen just kind of naturally here. So I'm not going to artificially put myself in danger. And I guess if we don't, no, I don't want to say if we don't see it, we don't see it. I'll get to the last one and then I'll blow up my ship. Okay, so this one is just about dead, and we're on the last ship. Yeah, he's got one more on the collar and then we're done. So I'm just gonna go ahead and run into these projectiles. Yeah, now look at this. We like fly at the camera and we're like, whoa. Oh man, he's got some cool irises to him. The tri-iris, I'm not sure that, does anything have a tri or dual iris, or I guess it would be bi-iris in real life. Maybe frogs. He looks kind of froggish. I couldn't imagine what you would ever want to use it for. I think our irises are used to, don't we use them in some way to determine color? I don't know. Been years since I have studied any kind of like biology or anything like that. Alright, let's just go ahead and blow up this transport. It's really not going to be like, this is the end of the level. This is the end of the game by extension. Nice, there we go. So that is it for the maw. Since it's freed, it's able to go over and tear up the tower, and then we land on top of it. It's nice that he knows that we're a buddy, probably because we're the only one not shooting at him. And then we go over to him. Like I said, it's cool that we're buddies. I'm glad he didn't eat us throughout this whole game. It makes you wonder what you've kind of wrought on the world, though, considering that, you know, how big he is and that he's just going to continue to eat. And, you know, again, it's Planet Maw, so he's like probably about the size of a moon here on this planet. Whatever. And we give it a hug. Very Disney movie ending. Yeah, it's like, get out of here. Very, what was it, Free Willy type shit. He's like, you gotta get out of here. I don't know. So we take this cargo ship. We know how to fly it, obviously, and we get the hell out of here while the maw continues to grow. What have we wrought on this world? It was just a normal environment, and now we have this thing. So the maw finishes tearing up the tower. This is a really charming ending here, I felt. So you can see the maw kind of like continuing to grow in size, and it eats that planet. And that is the my nose. That is the maw in its entirety. I don't know. I thought it was really charming. I know it keeps putting my mouse on the screen in between levels, but that is the end of this level, so that's that. I don't know. Like I said, pretty charming game. I wish all these guys the best. Hopefully, whenever I said that, if they want to work on VR shit, kudos to them. I hope they do exactly what they want to in life, because I enjoyed this game very much. I think everybody deserves to live their best life, no less people who are making VR games, I guess. Despite the fact that I hate them viscerally. Just kidding. Oh, wow. Original music composed by Winifred Phillips. I was thinking as I played this game that I liked a lot of the saxophone tracks. But yeah, that's it for them all. Wow, he's moving in even closer. That's really spooky, huh? Should I? Nah, I'm not going to let this play out. That's it. I'm not going to keep you guys here any longer. I will see you guys all next week. Later.